Everyone remembers the day when Lizzie Borden walked into her parents' house and found a world that had been cleaved in two. It was August 4th, 1892, in Fall River, Massachusetts, a mill town still noisily rebuilding itself, when the bodies of Andrew and Abby Borden were discovered in a home that had seemed, until that morning, ordinary and locked tight with family routine. What followed reads like a small-town nightmare and a courtroom drama stitched together by rumor. Abby Borden, struck repeatedly in an upstairs bedroom, was found where she had once dressed for church and visits. Andrew, bludgeoned and nearly decapitated, lay on a sofa in the downstairs sitting room. The weapon was never produced at trial, but the wounds told a blunt force story: an axe or hatchet taken from the house, blows delivered with intimate violence. The coroner's inquest the next day confirmed what everyone feared. These were not robberies, and the killers had known the house and its rhythms. Into that silence stepped Elizabeth "Lizzie" Borden, the daughter many would come to blame. Her behavior in the hours after the murders, bathing, changing her dress, burning a soiled garment, was seized by neighbors and national press as evidence of guilt. The household's maid, Bridget Sullivan, gave testimony that would be dissected for decades: where she was, what she saw, and what she could not reconcile. Within days, Lizzie was arrested. The trial, which began in June 1893, became a stage for the era's anxieties. A jury of 12 men listened to medical testimony about the nature and timing of the blows. They heard accounts of bruised relationships and whispered inheritances. The prosecution could not produce a murder weapon or eyewitness, and police work by modern standards was haphazard. Crime scenes were not cordoned, evidence was handled carelessly, and statements contradicted each other under stress. Lizzie's defense framed her actions as those of a distraught daughter. The closing arguments played upon the jurors' inability to imagine a genteel woman committing such calculated savagery. When the verdict, not guilty, came on June 20th, 1893, it did not end the horror, it deepened it. For many in Fall River and beyond, it was less a triumph of justice than the beginning of a cover-up. Historians since have mapped a different kind of conspiracy, not one of secret murderers and shadowy cabals, but a conspiracy of class, gender, and institutional failure that allowed an answer to remain out of reach. Consider the angles. Andrew Borden was a man of property. His will and the distribution of his estate provided motive theories that investigators never fully untangled. The town's elite circles, merchants, clergy, and the male jurors themselves were invested in preserving social order. A public trial that convicted a respectable woman threatened not just reputations, but the town's image. Police and prosecutors stumbled. Evidence that might have tied a weapon to a hand was mislaid or dismissed as inconclusive. The press, hungry for sensation, turned facts into folklore. The rhyme, "Lizzie Borden took an axe," would outlive court transcripts and forever color memory. The true horror is not only the violence done in that house, but the way a legal system, a small community, and the culture of the time conspired to leave a wound unhealed. No one else was ever convicted. Lizzie bought a new house, Maplecroft, and lived out her life in Fall River until her death in 1927. Her acquittal did not erase suspicion. It fossilized an ambiguity that generations would feed on. Today, the Borden house is a museum, and tourists pay to stand where blood once pooled. Scholars keep arguing the facts, parsing testimony, and weighing motives. The case is a study in how ordinary places can become chambers for extraordinary violence, and how power and prejudice can bury answers as surely as any axe hides in a cellar. In the end, the conspiracy is written into the town's quiet, a decision made by people in that moment to close their eyes or to be unable to see. That choice is the lasting horror of Fall River's summer day in 1892.